What's up, Geo Freaks? It's me, Sodak Zach, and that's a fact. I'm a geocacher from South Dakota, but you can call me Zach. You can follow me on all my social media accounts at Sodak Zach, or send me a friend request on geocaching.com. I love to connect with new people. But mainly, hit that subscribe button, alright? That way you get, maybe it's over here. The rest is in the description, but let's get into it. Do you sprint for your caches? Do you find fizzies fun? Do you journey just for jasmers? Or do you do the first to find run? Well, if you sacrifice sleep or safety to save your streak, then it's all about the numbers is the show that you seek. This is a not so infrequent series that I'll bring to you whenever I get the chance. So hit that subscribe button and ding that bell so you get the notification whenever I drop an episode. This last week we gained 30 subscribers, so I want to welcome you to the group. I received so many stories and comments and tweets and emails about the intro video, so I'm really excited and thank you for taking the time to do that. This is an interactive show, so when you comment, when you tweet at me, these stories will make it onto the show. This segment is going to be called the Geo Freak of the Week. Maybe I won't do it that, unless you guys like that intro, but it's the Geo Freak of the Week. This week's Geo Freak goes out to Vulcan64. Actually, someone I know. It's flattering that someone in town reached out to me, shared their story. So Todd, this one's for you. Todd says, "Greetings, Zach. My story starts out with a trip down to Atlanta in February of 2016, where I met up with Club Mud, Boreal Walker, and Yellow Dogs. We went after jasmer fillers and a lot of challenge caches. We did 5 states and over 1,500 miles of driving. Anyways, one challenge I finally started on this last November was GC2RQ4Z, the 30-30-30 challenge. I'll let you read the whole description. I chose to find, it's puzzle caches is what he chose to find. It says a question mark, it's puzzle caches. So he chose to find puzzle type caches for 30 days in a row. While I started on that one, I also started looking in the Cincinnati area for my May trip for that Geo Woodstock, the first Giga. I'll be there, will you? All right, well, Todd's gonna be there. So for his road trip, he came across this challenge, GC4NWGP. 100 puzzles within 100 question mark challenge. So basically you need 100 days in a row of 100 puzzle type caches. So not having enough puzzle type caches available to him in this area, he had to drive 5.5 hours over into Iowa to find a bunch of challenges he could use. He also just got back from Omaha yesterday with some more puzzle type caches to work with. And that's how his year has started out, chasing these numbers. Well, Todd, that's what we love to do on this show. And so the one I want to focus on was that first one you talked about. So he's doing 30 puzzles in 30 days. That's a streak. A 30-day streak, but using only puzzle caches. This is such a mind-boggling task for those of us that don't have a ton of puzzle caches available in our area, especially to streak. So that takes us to this week's topic. You guessed it. Streaking!
We're streaking!
Okay, I'm not gonna actually, not running around naked finding geocaches, though some caches, you do have that as an option.
Everybody's doing it.
One of those caches is GC1XKQ4. You have to get behind naked, get in your birthday suit, and it looks like you gotta run across a bridge and run back before finding the cache. Now, it's not, a requirement, but it's an option. Anyway, not that type of streaking. On to the show. So what we're talking about here is finding a cache every day for an extended period of time. Personally, my first streak seemed like a mammoth undertaking. There was a local challenge that you had to find 30 days of caches in a row. 30-day streak. Doesn't sound too hard for those that have streaked for a long time. But when you're first doing it, it seems so hard. It was a mammoth undertaking. And so it was the hardest thing I had ever done. It was like it was a chore having to get out and do it every day. And when I finally did it, it was awesome, it was over, and then I could just cache when I wanted to. But shortly after that, I realized the 365 challenge was a huge goal. And the best time to do it was to start, the sooner the better, because you have more caches in your area. And so I wanted to start on my streak and just get it out of the way. And so I did. And I cached and it became part of my day. It became routine, became something I did. And then I went to Yellowstone, so a whole fresh new area, camping with friends for like an entire week. And we're out there and I'm doing earth caches and virtuals, and there's not many physical containers out there, being a national park at all. I had an issue. I ran into a CO that kind of rubbed me the wrong way, and here's why. So I get to this earth cache, and it's got 10 questions that you got to fill out, just a lot of information. And I went and got all the information, and I took tons of pictures and I loaded them in my log. So I have all these questions answered. I have all these pictures. 3-4 days after I had logged this cache, I saw in my messages that I had this long message from someone saying, well, we saw you had posted it. You actually had one of your answers wrong, so we deleted your log on there, and your cache no longer counts. I researched the answer, I found it, and I realized why I didn't find it was the sign that they had, the area that the sign was in, the one sign for that one question, was actually under construction. And so that one sign I couldn't get it from. So I took a guess, an educated guess. It was wrong, but that's why they didn't let me log it. And so I actually found the right answer. I Googled it. But then they looked at my stats and saw that I had been caching in South Dakota for a day or two. And so they said, look, we know you just Googled this. We're not going to let you log this. You didn't have it right. You didn't do what the requirements were. And so we've deleted your log. And I came back and I said, look, this is ridiculous. I gave you have all the right answers from me. You have pictures, so you have so much verification that I was there at that spot. And I finally, there was all this back and forth. I finally did get to log that one. But at that point, I was at 200 days straight. It was a couple of days. I was so flustered that I just ended my streak, and I quit geocaching for 37 straight days. It was my longest slump. To this day, it's still my longest slump. And after that month, I knew I had stewed a little bit. I knew I couldn't let one bad experience ruin this for me. And so I knew if I'm gonna get this streak done, if I'm gonna do 365, the big streak that the hardest of challenges have you do, I needed to get back on the horse and I needed to power through it, and I couldn't let one bad egg ruin it for me. So I got back in this. I decided I'm gonna do this. It was right before winter. I'm gonna get winter out of the way, the hardest thing, and then when there's less caches, it's also gonna be in summer where it's warmer, or I can drive further and feel safer doing that. So I hop back in the saddle and I go after it. And I haven't stopped since. So after 365 straight days of doing this, it just became part of my day. It was, coming home from work, I would do it. Going to work in the morning, on my breaks, if an FTF popped up near me, I'd run out and get it, or just a quick cache nearby. It just became something I did. And I learned not just to be aggressive with going about it each day. I would actually plan each week. All right, so I know these 7 caches I could get. So I always had a runway, and that really helped out. So now, where am I at? I'm over 450 days, and my goal is 500. There are some challenges above 365. Now you can't put more than 365 for challenge caches, but there are some alive that were around before challenge caches were taken down. And there were some, I think the furthest I could find was 1,083 days, I believe it was, which is, 3 years. Right now, I'm pursuing 500 because I know there's some challenge caches that do 500. If I get to 500, I'm going to keep going as long as I can, but that's the big benchmark for me. So shortly after that, I'm running out of caches. I gotta be honest. So that's my personal story, but I want you to comment, guys. What is your longest streak? What's the longest streak you'll ever do? And what's your longest slump? All right? Put that in the comments. I try to respond to every comment that I can. So I'd love to know what your streaks are. Impress me. Motivate yourself. Motivate others with your streak. If you're looking around and it's wow, a lot of people do this streak thing, and you live in a city, might be something worth considering doing. Now it's time for some streaking numbers. That's like a hashtag, like a pound sign, like a number sign, you know? Numbers time. All right, so you think my 450 days is a lot? Well, my friend Eric, who's EJK PBR, he's been doing geocaching since we all started in the same month. Me, him, Bawag75 here in town as well. And we're all on streaks right now because we know this is like our chance to do it because we cache so much, we're gonna just wipe out our area before we even get a chance to get a year streak in. So if you think 450 days is a lot, Eric is over, I think he's like almost at 620 days right now, which is ridiculous. He's trying to get to 733 days because 732, 2 years, is second place right now in our state. So he wants to jump into that second spot, but he's gonna run out of caches around then. So the 1,000 day, which is Manic Geckos in South Dakota, he's got the longest streak in our state. We just don't think it's attainable unless we really start hiding some trails and really start getting a bunch of hides in the area for each other to grab. But even that doesn't compare to Dr. J, who, congratulations if you happen to see this, Dr. J just passed 4,000 straight days. He'll be passing 11 years in a couple of weeks. 11 years of geocaching, straight on through. No problem, right? So close behind Dr. J is Nighthawk and Ranger Fox at 3,965 days. Wow, wow, wow. So here's a trivia question for you. You ready? All right, this is a trivia for the next video. All right, you ready? First one. Actually, I'll just list off everyone who got it right, if they did. And who knows, maybe there'll be a special shout out for the first one to get it in the comments, which are time-stamped. Who was the first person to have a decade-long streak? Not who has the longest, not who are the like 10-ish people that have a decade-long streak now, but who was the first person? All right, comment below. Would love to see who gets it right. Next, I want to give you a few tips, just a couple of tips on streaking. So, first off, you got to take off your shirt and your pants. Okay, it's not that. Sorry. Starting a streak is the hardest part. The sooner you start, the more caches available, the easier it is. You got to make it part of your daily routine. All right. You gotta make it part of your daily routine. Going to work, coming from work, just in the evenings, over your lunch hour, whatever works for you, it's gotta be part of your daily routine. You gotta map out which caches work for that week. You gotta have it in your mind. Look at the weather, figure things out. Always have 2 or 3 backup caches, just in case you DNF one. Or if the weather, say it was one that was on the ground, if you're up here where it's snowing out, it could be frozen to the ground. You just can't get to it, or you just don't find it. Whatever it is, always have a backup plan. Always have a backup plan near your house. Save the closest ones to your house, though, for the worst days. The ones where you're sick, the ones where you have a wedding later in the day, the ones where you're just so busy because it's Christmas or it's New Year's. Have a few of them really close by to your house. Another thing you can do, huge, just plan an event. Do an event every so often. I try to do one monthly. Eric tries to do one monthly now. We got a few people trying to do this. So like, these are 4 or 5 days in a month, which really helps out in extending these streaks. These events just really help give you that breather. You can log your own event. So you host an event, you get your cache for that day. Hide caches. When you hide caches, it motivates other people to hide caches. Especially if you got multiple people streaking, you can hide them for each other. I had some for Eric. He's thankful. He had some for me. It's just this cycle of good juju, good karma, awesomeness. Plan your free time for little trips, weekends, evenings where you don't have much going on. Like, go to that next town. Take that road trip out to that park. This has been a good excuse for me to never turn down a trip. Make sure to read the requirements for the challenge you're attempting, though. You remember Vulcan's story earlier in the episode? So sometimes you need to streak with a specific type of cache. So if someone had read that and said, oh, I just need to streak for 30 days, then they got to the end and realized, oh, I needed to do puzzle caches. Well, now I feel dumb. I hope those tips help you get started on your streak. And speaking of which, it's time for Sodak Zach That's me. The challenge for the week. I need a lift. That's what I'm doing right after this. Gotta go work out. Okay. Maggie's my girlfriend. She's the workout fiend, and so she's gonna whip me into shape. All right, but it's the Sodak Zach's challenge for the week. Challenge of the week. All right, so this week's challenge is streak for an entire week. 7 days, 7 caches. If you're already streaking, this is just a few steps in your marathon. No big deal, right? But if you haven't started a streak yet, just go get 7. Just 7. It's not that hard. You can do 7. And then when you have 7 straight days, you've done the hardest part. Keep it going to 10. Keep it going to 20. 30, you've done a month. Boom, go for 2. 2 months, 3 months. Do I have a bid for 6 months? Could you do a year? Who knows? But it starts with a week. So this week, I just want to see, can I motivate anyone with this channel to just go find 7 straight? And it's in the winter. So if you can do 7 straight in the winter, you're setting yourself up for summer. Then it's smooth sailing from there. That about wraps up our show. To close out each show, though, I want to do something a bit more interactive to give each and every one of you something. You ready? It's trackable time. Dropped it. This week's trackable for you to discover is my Geocache Talk. Look at that. Look at the back of that. All right, the Geocache Talk podcast coin. The Geocache Talk podcast is a weekly podcast where we talk about everything geocaching. You got Gary, Jesse, Sydney. They hit some of the top topics in all of geocaching. They bring it to you every week on podcasts, on YouTube. Just check it out. All right, subscribe. Check out the show. Sometimes you'll even see me there as their man at the cache. I have the best job on that show. Whenever they need me to illustrate a point that they're making, I get to go out and find a cache, and I video in and kind of illustrate whatever point they're talking about. If they're talking about virtual, I go find a virtual. So it's a fun job. They're all sitting there. They got to talk like I am right now, but I get to go out there and actually geocache. Hope you guys can see. And right here, let's see if I can.
Oh, there it is. There's the cache right there.
Okay,
Now,
so
Pill bottle hanging on a tree. Go check them out. All their information's in the description. Go and follow them. But I want to give you the TB code for this, and it looks like it's GTA J5R. GTA J5R. And that is your trackable time. Okay, probably need to stop doing that. So, the sun's going down as you've seen throughout this video. It is time to wrap things up. So join us next time as I talk about arguably the hardest of all the geocaching feats, the Jasmer. Have you heard of a Jasmer? Well, you gotta tune in to the next video to find out what it is. If you don't, if you know what it is, ooh, you know just how hard that is to get. If you've gotten it, whew, you get to kick back, relax, not worry about a thing. For those of us that are trying, man, we got so much planning to do in our future. So if you've completed your Jasmer, I want you to comment below your stories, any stories you have, any funny stories, comments, things to keep in mind, comment below. Send me an email. All of my information is in the description. Well, Geo Freaks, that's it for the show. Remember to subscribe wherever it is. Subscribe. Share the video with your Geo friends, if you could, please and thank you. And especially if they've done a long streak, send them this video, congratulate them, or if you have someone that needs motivating, send it to them. Hello, people that needed motivating. Hello, people that need, oh. I appreciate the support for these first few videos as I try to get the show off the ground, but we're gonna bring it. I'm gonna try this out, see how it goes, tell me what you think, any suggestions you have, any segments you'd like me to maybe do. But until next time, Geo Freaks, catch you later.